Hey guys. Uh welcome back to the Convo Couch. I am Fiorella. I am streaming today this late because the fam has been not feeling so hot. Jonny, got tested and he has unfortunately succumbed to COVID. And I wanted to let you guys know because he we usually do our shows Wednesdays, but he needs his rest, and so does Pasta, and so do I. So we're just gonna take every precaution, and I'm gonna go get tested. I feel good. I was not feeling that great a couple days ago, but I just kind of went right back at it. So that's why we didn't stream today. I wanted to let you guys know because you're our fams. And there's a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about. I did an interview recently with Vanessa Vili that I'm going to put that out there. We talked about Syria, the chemical attacks. Pasta went over the Neurotandan situation. And I would definitely like to go over more of that in depth. I know I don't have to because everybody and their mother has already talked about that. But we know she's vile trash. And, the reason why I haven't spent too much time on that is because we've literally focused so much on the elections, and we've been focusing so much on the how awful these Biden people are, but also like how this is nothing new. We expected that he was gonna put in awful people, and I'm not here to necessarily vote shame people into like being upset that they voted for Biden, but I need people to understand that there was no mitigating damage, that there was never going to be a good choice in between Trump or Biden, that the purpose of our elections is no longer democratic. It hasn't been for a very long time. And, Pasta's over there. he's dying to come live and to talk about the election situation because Michael Tracy did this video with Aaron Matei, and I gotta say, I support Aaron Matei on his work in journalism, but when it comes to elections, everybody on the left and on the right, a lot of people on the right are getting it wrong. Election integrity is an issue that is nonpartisan. It is an issue that is American. It is an issue that if we don't resolve, I don't really care who you want to run in 2022. I don't really give a damn, actually, because what really irked me and really propelled me to do this late live stream today was, number one, Nancy Pelosi's stimulus bill is a disgusting insult to people right now, like especially living in California, right? Like, people are homeless, people don't have jobs, businesses are closing down again, but nobody is giving people the adequate help they need. And instead of showing the world and showing Democrats and showing progressives and showing Americans that Nancy Pelosi is going to be better than the GOP, that Nancy Pelosi is going to provide and actually give something much better than what Trump gave, which was, I think he offered $1,600 direct aid, and it was on the ball was in her court, right? And she wanted to play politics and not let that happen. So instead of doing all of that, she comes back with something so weak, and it's we're going to be talking more and more about this because it requires a special video of its own. But Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party are irreparable. There's no redeeming qualities left. There's no reason you guys should be still calling yourself Democrats. If you think that somehow they're going to change, they keep showing you time and time again, like a toxic partner, that they're not going to. And you have to understand that. You can't continue to pretend that didn't happen. So what basically happened was that the bipartisan group of Congress unleashed this $908 billion coronavirus relief, and people aren't getting anything. I mean, you're not getting anything. And it's not enough to blame it on the GOP anymore. Like, it's absolutely not enough to blame it on the GOP. There is no way that if I was a member of Congress, I would let the Democrats come up with a sack of shit. That's basically what it is. And so this is what it says. It would provide $160 billion for states and cities, and $180 billion for unemployment insurance, and $288 billion for more small businesses. The unemployment benefits would break down to $300 a week for 18 weeks. How many of you can survive with $300 a week? Like, I truly want to know. It costs like $100 just to go to the grocery store, like, and get a couple things. So for 18 weeks, they're going to provide you $300 per week. And it's half of the $600 included under the CARES Act, which was already a dismal failure. Anybody who voted for the CARES Act, and that's every single senator, every single progressive, every single everything. I understand that they wanted to get people money, but that's bullshit, because it was absolute trash. People got $1,200 check. I posted a tweet the other day how much Canada is getting, how much Australia is getting, how much the UK is getting, how much the European Union is getting, and anywhere from 70 to 90% or more of their salaries are getting paid. They're getting obviously they all have healthcare for all. They have a national healthcare system. And we've gotten $1,200 check plus a little bit of unemployment. If that doesn't give you the impetus to say enough, I don't know what is, guys. Like, honestly, what is it going to take? What is it going to take for you guys to stop with this? Well, in 2024, let's run AOC. Now, let me, like, regardless of how I feel about AOC, right? This has nothing to do with how I feel about AOC. Why are you propping up people to run in 2024 when you haven't dealt with the election issue? You haven't dealt with the fact that the Democratic Party and running people under the Democratic Party isn't working. You haven't dealt with any of this stuff. Do you think somebody's magically going to come in and save you? And I think way too many people are stuck on this. We have our own Congress members literally giving you scraps, literally giving you nothing. Okay. And they're getting away with it. Why? Because you voted for Joe Biden. You said, I don't care, we're going to mitigate damage. Well, what damage is being mitigated here? We have Neera Tanden for one of the most important positions in the Biden administration. We have Tony Blinken. We have a bunch of spooks in the CIA, the NSA, the status quo Obama type of politicians. We have all those people coming into this administration. On top of that, we have increasing censorship. We have zero friends in DC right now at the top levels. And people are still hoping that Joe Biden thanks Bernie Sanders. Are you serious? I used to think that neoliberals were the group that was the most easily swayed group of people, most easily manipulated. I feel progressives have taken that torch. And I'm not like saying this because I want to say this. I'm saying it because in what world do you live in where you're asking the Biden administration to thank Bernie? In what world does that fucking matter at this point? Like, a thank you isn't going to save all these people that are going to die from not having healthcare, from not being able to feed their families, from not being able to just live adequately. I mean, the rate of COVID on people of color is so much greater than it is on everybody else because, they tend to be more poor. So that is one element. Nobody's talking about any of this crap. Like, it's not even, it's the fact that there's so much we could do. So much we could do if we stop relying on politicians, and people are still stuck on this idea that a politician's going to save them, whether it's AOC in 2024, whether it's Nina Turner, whether it's a party, whatever party. They're not going to save you, because you need to understand that none of that is going to come to fruition without a few things. One of them being the ability for people to organize without a politician, the ability for people to come together as a group outside of the electorate, outside of electoral politics, and demand what they want, the ability to have fair and free and transparent elections, which we do not have, regardless of how you feel this election went. We have not had fair and free elections for a very long time. And it's not about Donald Trump. It is not even about Bernie Sanders. It is about the fact that we need fair and free elections in this country. And the vast majority of Americans would agree at some level that we don't have that. We don't have ranked choice voting. So the third parties don't have a fair shake against the duopoly. And we are still unable to rely and coalesce on each other and build this sort of mutual aid that happens so frequently in other countries. And what's happening now is the warnings that a lot of us have been talking about for years, that what would happen if you would see this polarization, right? Because all that's happening right now in the media is that they're telling you that election fraud is a right-wing conspiracy. And then they're also telling you, by the same token, that it's okay to censor people. It's okay to take them down. It's okay to, for Barack Obama to come out there and say defunding the police is a snappy slogan. They're telling you that Russiagate was real, and they decided to miraculously not bring it up this time because the Russians were sleeping throughout this whole election cycle. They're telling you all these things because they want people divided. And like, it's not like I'm overlooking the negative ideology in the right. Like, I don't agree with, I'm for defunding the police. I'm for reparations. I'm for all of these things. I'm for a type of situation where we get some sort of Green New Deal or some sort of thing. I am definitely not backing down on universal health care or a single payer health care. Call it whatever you want. Free health care for people, which wouldn't even be free because you pay fucking taxes. Let's be real here. But and college for all and student debt forgiveness, because I believe, not only because I believe in those things, but because I think it's the only thing that's going to save this country, because now we have generations of burdened by debt, burdened by so much debt. And now with this pandemic and the incoming collapse that's going to happen even more as evictions continue, it's just going to get worse. So people are constantly asking, like, well, what do we do? Well, what you don't do is sit there and say, well, so-and-so 2024 is going to save us. I saw way too many people on my Twitter in the same breath, right? Condemning Neera Tanden, condemning Joe Biden's picks, condemning what Barack Obama said. But in the same breath, oh, let's vote for AOC 2024. What would that do? I'll tell you what it would do. It would do absolutely nothing. It would waste 4 more years of your life in a party that doesn't want you and that wants absolutely nothing to do with you and will not change. I think it is very naive. And it is one thing to work locally and build upon local issue-based causes. And it's another thing to put all of your fucking trust in a party that had continuously taken a vast, giant crap on you and on the American people. A party that is but a mere facade of what it once was, and a party that is just a holographic image of the Republican Party, except that they have a rainbow flag and they wave it around. I mean, that's basically it. And I'm not here to argue against that. I mean, like I said, I am for a lot of these things that when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to all these things, LGBTQ equality, I'm not minimizing that. But I am saying the Democratic Party weaponizes these issues, weaponizes race, and does absolutely nothing for it. You can see that manifested in Obama and what he said. Do you really think you're going to get fucking defunding the police from the administration that where Black Lives Matter, what came to be during Obama's administration when he didn't do anything for Flint, Michigan? Do you really think you're going to get any sort of defunding the police from these Democrats? They may not say it like the right flat out says it. Oh, well, no, we support the cops. They might not say it. But they do. They're the same. And people who think that there's that much of a difference between them are on either end, right? Because are completely wrong. Because there's a lot of people that are, well, the right, it's so much better. At least they're honest, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, they're honest, but they're still vile. Like, and the Democratic Party, it's like they're dishonest and they're vile. So I honestly think we need to move past this. Like, we need to, like, I don't understand why it's so hard for people to grasp a simple concept. Until we get fair and free elections, we will never have anything we want. We will never have the candidates we really want, because believe it or not, and Jimmy has gotten a lot of flack for stating this, for stating that Cory Bush and all these progressives were all going to fall in line. And I 100% agree with him on that. Not because I am expecting them to fail, but because we have been trying the same thing and expecting different results. And because I look at people's foreign policy pages and they're blank, because I look at people speaking out for Julian Assange and they haven't. And by my measure, if you're not talking about our imperialism, which promotes capitalism and promotes racism, you're really just doing a dance here. You're not really there to change things. I want people to challenge the status quo. And I quickly realized that that wasn't going to happen from a politician. It's not going to happen from any politician. Not in the way it needs to happen to actually have some sort of change. Did you notice that the vast majority of Western media is ignoring how France has been protesting for like 2 years in the streets, demanding better wages, demanding less of the neoliberalism that they've been, forced on? A lot of the, they're not okay with the handling of COVID in the UK. These people are protesting. Western media hasn't showed you that because they don't want you to do that. So what they've done is they've maligned protests, right, by using the BLM protests as looting and rioting and blah, blah, blah. So that way it creates this sort of more racial divide. And I'm not saying we don't have racial issues in this country. We obviously do. I've been covering these protests. But those issues grow bigger when we don't address class, right? And so we have to address both. And how we address both is it addressing imperialism. Imperialism is the direct cause of all of this. What do we do to people in Iran? What did we do to people in Iraq? What did we do to people in Syria? We sanction, we drone, we bomb. We do this time and time again. That is directly tied to how we treat our citizens. Because if that's how we treat people over there, how do you expect to be treated here? And people need to stop separating those issues and progressives, right? Because this is directed at progressives. Because I expect better from you. I expect a neoliberal to fall for Biden's bullshit. I expect a Republican to really not do anything and just talk about how awful Democrats are. But I expect progressives to be the ones that are aware of this sort of situation. And what I've been getting actually nonstop is the opposite. Like complete, total, just nope, we're just going to pretend. We're just going to talk about how bad things are, but we're still going to try to run somebody in 2022. Example. John, is that his name? John Ossoff? I don't know how to say his name. The young guy who is running in the Senate race in Georgia. He is a neoliberal through and through. He is anti-Medicare for all as all hell. He's got Bernie Sanders' endorsement. Why? Oh, because he's going against a GOP. Okay. Why? I ask again. What is the difference that I am going to take, or that any person in Georgia is going to feel, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican at this point? It is a very minimal difference, if anything. And the reality is people don't want to hear that. They still want to cling on to hope that Democrats are better. Oh, I'm a proud Democrat. No. What's there to be proud of? There's absolutely nothing to be proud of being a Democrat. And I am losing my patience with a lot of progressives who have continuously just pretended that it's okay as long as we run somebody else next time without addressing the root causes as to why we lose. we have the vast majority of even independent media on the left pretending that Democrats are so corrupt, that the establishment is so corrupt, right? That we topple governments all over the world, that we coup everybody we want to coup, that we extract resources, that we drone whoever we want to drone, and etc., and do all these terrible things. But somehow, our elections are still democratic and still valid. In what world does that make any logical sense? I mean, we were lied to. The Lusitania, for one. I mean, I will go as far back as that. Talk about 9/11. There were no weapons of mass destruction. We have been continuously lied and lied and lied. WikiLeaks showed the vast lies that the American people have faced, and many still don't want to face. The uncovering of these lies, right? Our own government is going after the man releasing important information on U.S. war crimes, Julian Assange, and the vast majority of people aren't talking about it. So pardon my anger and pardon my just lack of trust in the progressive movement. I don't even consider myself a progressive anymore, if that's what progressivism is, because I am far, far beyond that. Because I don't believe that equality is going to happen by asking for it, by being nice and saying, oh, can we please have Medicare for all? We voted for Joe Biden, but, can we please have that? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't know why you want to continue thinking that these reps who have never given a crap about you are going to suddenly, and who are controlled, by the way, who are controlled by these lobbyists for Big Pharma, are suddenly going to turn around and change their mind and say, you know what? Yes, they'll give us Medicare for all because they're asking nicely, because they called us and left a message. That's going to change anything. It's not, because you don't have the money. They don't respond to you. They respond to money. They respond to these corporations feeding them fucking money. That's what our politics has turned into. And if you want to continue playing games and saying, well, we're going to call and then we're going to get 200 AOCs in Congress, and then those 200 AOCs are going to continue not paying attention to censorship, not paying attention to free speech, not caring about, foreign policy, it's going to be fine. No, it's not. Because we're gearing into this fascist overtake. And you thought you voted fascism out when you supposedly voted for Joe Biden against Donald Trump. You don't vote out fascism. You don't vote out this sort of thing that's not ingrained in Donald Trump. Donald Trump is but a symptom. That's it. He's a symptom of our fucking society. He's a symptom of capitalism. Hello, America. He's a symptom of American exceptionalism. He's a symptom of the years of neoliberalism. He is not the cause. And too many of you who say you understand that don't understand that, because all of the focus that I'm seeing on the left indie media is, oh, well, let's just make fun of Donald Trump and all his goons and all Giuliani, and like, yay, that'll get us clicks. But what are you doing for people by doing that? You're not doing absolutely anything. In fact, you're just furthering this divide, where if I actually spoke and talked to a conservative, which I have done multiple times, and I sat down and I said things in a different way, hey, well, but what if it would be cheaper for you if there was a system where people could just be covered and your taxes wouldn't go up and all of this and that, and you can get across people, and people are like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm for that. Why do you think Rokfin is getting attacked for going on Laura Ingram's show? It's ridiculous. These people are never going to fucking change. They're never going to fucking change. Like, I'm not even like a huge Rokfin fan because I believe he's not progressive enough. But I can recognize that he did the right thing by going on there and being upset at Joe Biden's picks, talking about why is Joe Biden's cabinet selecting zero progressives? Why, like, that is what somebody should do. It is not elevating an ideology by going on Fox News. He's not saying, oh, I agree with the Republican right-wingers that, we should just bundle up immigrants and push them up to sea. Like, that's not what he's saying. That's not what anybody says when they go on these fucking shows. And the double standard of these liberals is that they yell at somebody like Rokfin, but when Pete Buttigieg goes on Fox News, it's totally fine. It's totally cool. Oh yeah, Pete Buttigieg went there and talked to people. He could reach across the aisle. This is what I'm talking about. You're wasting your time with the Democratic Party. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time with progressives who are pushing you back into it. And I'm telling you that as somebody who voted for Obama. I'm telling you that as somebody that sees it happening again and doesn't want you to fall into the same trap over and over again, because we don't have the time to keep doing this shit. We honestly don't. And I'm just completely so fucking tired of repeating myself with this, like, election crap. Like, all Pasta is saying, and all I'm saying is basically, you cannot separate election issues because you don't like somebody. It's that simple. If Joe Biden wanted to contest the election, I would have been like, sure, contest the election. Like, it's that simple. This has nothing to do with partisanship. In America, and by partisanship, I mean, like, the polarization of people against one another. Obviously, there are vast differences in ideology between me and a right-winger. There are. That doesn't mean I'm going to ship to push them on an island and never talk to them again and pretend that they're all deplorables and pretend that, that's fine and that's how it's going to be. I'm not an authoritarian leftist. That's why the thumbnail that you guys saw, I am literally, like, off the fucking charts. And the reason for that is because I believe in collectivism. I believe that people should help each other. But, if you don't want to do that, I don't have to force you to do that. And I don't believe that forcing people to do anything is the way to go. I don't believe in a lot of things. I could sit here and talk to you about my ideology, which you may or may not agree with, and that's okay. Because, hello, that's the point of discourse. But we've lost that in America. We've lost the ability to have discourse. We have networks that are for the right. We have networks that are for the left, which is fucking centrist. And then we have everybody else on the, that's like the right-wing populists. And then you have the independents. And then you have the libertarians that are on the left and the right. And then you have the left-wing populist, which I consider myself pretty populist, but also extremely, extremely left-wing. But I can have a conversation with people who are on the complete end of the spectrum and be like, you know what? You're getting fucking screwed by the system too. So if you're getting screwed by the system, you should probably listen to what I have to say, and I'll listen to what you have to say. And you know what? Like, let's figure out what's really going on here. Because I firmly believe that neither side, neither the Democrats nor the Republicans, and this is where I disagree with my co-host here at Pasta, I don't believe that these people actually want the truth about the elections. I do not. I think this is all part of getting the issue to be a conspiracy theory, right? And now I'm hearing leftists say, oh yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. It's not. It hasn't been. Way before the Republicans realized that it was a problem, or when, Republican leaders were the ones doing it. It's always been an issue. It's been an issue, a multi-party issue for decades. For decades. We haven't had a real election in my lifetime. I'm telling you that right now. We haven't had a real one. But we can say everything about Venezuela. We can say everything about Bolivia and blah, blah, blah. And the reason why I think the election issue is a, what's the word for it? I don't want to say like a psyop, because it's a real issue, but it is being used to divide people. Because too many people on the left are now not questioning our elections because the right has grabbed it, right? And now they're framing their narrative like, ooh, China, Venezuela, the ghost of Hugo Chavez. And it's like, that's not it either. So it gets thrown out, all of it, when they frame it like that. So I understand why people can't figure out like the truth, because it's so hard to find the truth when you're constantly being lied to with propaganda, right? And I understand that. But at the same time, I'm telling you, start watching the Convo Couch. Or I don't know what else. I mean, start watching independent media that are actually independent, not like TYT that's bought off. And Cenk Uygur, I mean, we went over what he said. I mean, it's just disgusting. He just keeps using the same arguments. Bernie wasn't cheated. Are you kidding me? I was there. The man was cheated twice. I was there. I experienced it both times, especially in 2020. Like what I saw and documented and covered. Cenk Uygur, no, anyone who wasn't on the ground isn't gonna fucking tell me that that didn't happen. But you know, that's the thing. You need to listen to independent media. I recommend so many people. I mean, I recommend Hard Lens Media. I recommend Slow News Day. I recommend Richie Medhurst. I recommend Gray Zone. I recommend a lot, like so many people. You know, obviously, you know, Ron, Graham. I recommend a lot of people that are doing great work. When it comes to elections, though, I am going to toot my own horn here. We're going to toot our own horn here. We have covered these elections in a way that has not been covered, and not just the old, well, Republicans push people off of voter rolls. That's not, no, we're talking about the machines. And we talked about the machines, literally, I can show timestamps months before fucking Cindy Powell came in and started talking about them, right? I can both dislike Cindy Powell and understand that she's bringing up a few key issues on the machines. That can be true. I can also recognize that I don't feel like any of these people want the truth because they're putting their own fucking little narrative spin on it. The only people who want truth are we the people. That's it, because we're the only ones that actually want to control our elections, right? They don't want you to vote for who you want to vote for. Think about this. If we had a populist movement, right? A left-wing populist movement versus a right-wing populist movement, and we all went to the ballot box, and we all had fair and free elections. We could monitor our elections, open source, backed up paper ballots, public counting of elections. You could see inside the machines, everything done at one time, nationally publicized, etc., right? If we had all of that, 60% or more of people now want healthcare for all. 60% or more people want college for all. People want to reduce the Pentagon budget. People want to reduce our military spending. We would have all of that. The only reason we don't is because our elections are not fair. It's as simple as that. So when people are putting the cart before the horse, and when people are like, oh, AOC 2024 or so-and-so 2024, who are we going to run against Kamala? It irritates me to the fucking nth degree, because you're still playing the game. You need to stop playing the game. You're using the same fucking chess move over and over again, and your opponent sees it coming from 20 miles away, 20 moves ahead. And you keep doing it, and you think that, you know, they're enticing you. They're giving you like, ooh, look, you can have this rook. And you take it. And in the end, you die. Because that's what you're doing. You're allowing them to trick you over and over and over again in hopes that maybe someday you'll get somebody resembling a progressive. And by the time you get that person who resembles a progressive, they're going to be Barack Obama 2.0. That's what you're going to get. And the pendulum is going to swing all the way to the right. And we're going to have a fucking Tom Cotton for president. It doesn't take a psychic. It doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist, and it doesn't take anybody with above average intelligence to figure this out. Especially if you pay attention to what's going on, right? And so the chickens are coming home to roost, right? Because that is the title. The chickens are coming home to roost. Progressives, Democrats, people who said never Biden, and a lot of them ended up voting for Joe Biden. A lot of them are saying there was no election fraud of any kind. A lot of them are, you know, even saying Bernie wasn't cheated. A lot of them are pissed off. How dare Joe Biden? Ooh, how dare he put the Avril Haines, who was the director of his weapons, the missile weapons, for the Obama administration. How dare he put her in charge? How dare he put Tony Blinken in charge? How dare he put all these vile lobbyists, military industrial complex stooges? How dare he do all of this? I am so surprised and flabbergasted that they're doing this. Like, that's, you sound like, like a dumbass. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be outraged. I am saying this was going to happen, and the chickens are coming home to roost, and we knew this was going to happen. And we said, if we did not stand up and say no to Joe Biden and voted third party en masse, or decided not to vote, or went out there and said, we don't want Joe Biden, we don't want Trump, we don't want either of these, if we didn't start some sort of general strike movement, which, by the way, the time was ripe, COVID, economic collapse, etc. It's happening all over the world. So yes, America could have done it. If we didn't do that, we were just going to transition into a crypto fascism, which is what we have now. It's so much easier to look at Trump and say, well, that's a vile guy, he needs to go. When it comes to Joe Biden, mainstream media isn't going to talk about who he's cooing. Mainstream media isn't going to talk about who he's directing missiles at and drone strikes at. Mainstream media isn't going to talk about how Nancy Pelosi is going to get voted on for speaker again by the entire progressive contingent, because they're too scared to fucking oppose her, because they're too scared to lose their hold in their positions. Like, the mainstream media isn't going to talk about any of this. And if all indie left media, or progressive media, I wouldn't even say I would say progressive media, does is just complain, but offer no understanding as to how this continues to happen, great. But what are we doing? And it's one thing to say, well, we're gonna, call our reps and blah blah blah, but it's like, that's not enough, you guys. We're gonna have to take it up to the next level. It's not enough to call your reps. They don't give a shit. Like I said, they do not owe you anything. You continue voting Democrat over Republican, they're safe. You continue voting for Joe Biden over Republican, they're safe. Why would they care? So you have to take this power back. There's no other choice. There's no other solution. You have to take this power back. Period. End of story. It has to be taken. And the only way to take that is to make these people look like they're starving you out, which they are. They're starving you out of wages. They're starving you out and using COVID to weaponize the growth of corporations. We've seen the growth of Amazon, Netflix, Uber, as they have literally denied their employers actual living wages here in California. We've seen progressives get cheated here in California. Jonny did some on-the-ground work, amazing work covering that. We're seeing our elections be questioned and people being like flabbergasted that Americans think like this was a normal election, regardless of how they don't like Biden or Trump, but it's like people on the outside are like, this is ridiculous what you guys are going through. We're not getting any stimulus. We're not getting anything. So how, what's it going to take? And part of the answer to that is it takes the middle class and the petit bourgeois to be a little bit affected by that. Now, some of them won't become class traders and fight with the working class, but some of them will. Because once you start affecting small businesses, and this is where the Democrats fail because they never reach out to small business owners, you're screwing with people who employ other people. You're screwing with the small business community that a lot of us progressives and leftists and whatever, we want to support small businesses. Most people, actually, in America on the right and on the left are supportive of small businesses far more than there are corporations. There's a very small percentage of people that are pro corporations. Either they're rich or they want to be rich, and they have tricked themselves into thinking that licking the boot is going to help them get there. So we're getting crap. Shit. Nothing. And it's not coming because we voted for it. It's coming because we didn't. Because our elections aren't fair. How did California not pass a rent control bill? You expect me to believe that in the middle of a pandemic, that in the middle where people can't afford to pay their rent, people aren't paying rent here. They're getting evicted, that people aren't going to vote for that bill? Are you serious? Or is it more the real estate developers own these fucking politicians? They own these the board, the supervisor of elections. They own all these people, and they were not going to let that pass. They put in millions and millions of dollars from the real estate industry to stop that. That's what happens. You're not just fighting here Joe Biden's administration. You got to look deeper than that. It's the marriage of the CIA, the security state, the Pentagon, the military industrial complex have lined up behind Joe Biden. They're done with Trump. In comes this guy, manipulate him, of course. It's going to be a Harris administration eventually. And that's it. Like, that's who your president is. Your president isn't Joe Biden. Your president is a figure. He's a figurehead. Your president is everybody behind them. Now, people want to say this isn't true. Oh, no, that's not true. You think what? That we don't control our elections? You think that blah, blah, blah. No, it's not what I think. It's what is. You can follow the money ties. We interviewed Whitney Webb talking about the money ties to from the machines to the Silicon Valley establishment, to also Democratic candidates as well as some Republican candidates. And that was Periscript, the machines she was going over. We talk about the AI, the incoming use of AI. We talk about even the vaccines, right? COVID is a virus. It should be fought. It takes about 10 years to actually create a viable antivirus or a vaccine, right? We're rushing it to happen as soon as possible. And who's in charge of that? Pfizer, AstraZeneca. We're somehow supposed to trust these institutions too to take care of people. Like, I just don't even know, like, why people make these, like, boxes where this only applies here and this only applies there and this only applies there. But no. This is the shit that gets me going. We are corrupt to the core in this country. This country is corrupt. It is a type of corruption that isn't as obvious or blatant as it is in other countries. It is a more insidious corruption. It is like a psychopathic kind of corruption because they pretend, everybody wants to pretend that everything is okay. Everybody wants to go back to normal. Let's go back to normal. While these politicians are filling your head with a new normal. They're saying, oh, we're going to build back better. We're going to come back stronger. Watch what they say. They all say the same thing. Build back better. The new normal. Like, just moving forward. They'll say, like, certain things. And they all use these same slogans. These same exact slogans. So when somebody comes to me with a talking point, that's a mainstream media talking point, which translates to a CIA talking point, I know right away that they're full of shit. It doesn't, like, because it's all the same type of language that they use. Spreading democracy. We're going to be spreading democracy everywhere. Just spreading it like freaking, like, just freaking pollen everywhere. Spreading democracy. So, guys, like, the chickens are coming home to roost. The chickens are coming home to roost. And, you know, I'm a little calm today because of how I was just getting over this cold, or what if it's COVID, whatever it is, COVID. But don't dismiss my calmness. Don't mistake my aloha for just being submissive here. Maybe it's good that I'm calm, because otherwise I'd be flipping out. Just watching people dismiss the corruption in this country because they don't like Trump irks me. Watching people dismiss that they did anything wrong by voting for Joe Biden irks me, and then turning around and complaining every 5 seconds of how awful it is irks me. And watching Americans have everything readily available to start people's general strike. You can't have a party without having this outside the electorate first. Not doing that irks me. It is just, other countries are doing it. What is stopping us? And it's a cognitive dissonance. It's a belief that if we continue pushing this, if we continue playing these same games, it's all going to be the same. It's going to happen. We're going to somehow get results. We're going to somehow, inch by inch, push more progressives in there, and inch by inch, blah, blah, blah. The problem is, you don't understand. People are going to die, and we don't have the time. So we're fighting for humanity here. I'm fighting for humanity. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. What's happening right now is a fight of us versus the oligarchy. That's all it is. And if you get stuck in this whole Republican versus Democrat situation, or even leftist versus the neo or the fascist right, you're going to lose that fight, because people are going to have a different ideology. The way to defeat certain ideologies, the way to defeat mistaken thoughts and ignorance and misinformation, isn't to put it in a box and shut it down and destroy it. It's to let them speak, and we counteract that speech with the truth. That's the way to defeat it. That's the only way. You're never going to eradicate it by voting it in or out. You're never going to eradicate it by dividing people further. The only way to eradicate it is to let people say what they say, come together, and fight against the oligarchy, which is keeping us down. And it's not just the 1%. It is the 1% of the 1% that are working in tandem to basically figure out, how are people responding to COVID? Are people doing what they're supposed to do? Are they rebelling? Are they protesting? Are they doing this and that? Like, if you were to tell me, if I lived in, let's say I lived in Denmark, or I lived in even freaking Bolivia, and you said, well, why would you think they're so nefarious? Like, why do you think the government's so nefarious? Like, why don't you think, like, what, you think they want to, like, crush people and kill them? If I lived in either of those countries, I would say, no, you're right, I should trust in my government, because they've given me the ability, and they've given me the tools, and they've supported me when I've needed them. But you're asking me to trust a government that has continuously lied to us, has continuously manipulated us, has continuously killed people with your tax dollars. You're asking me to trust that, and it's just not how it works. That is just not, it doesn't make sense to do that. So what I just want to begin closing with is the fact that Americans are afraid of realizing their power. They're afraid of going outside their comfort. They're afraid of taking reliability and resource on each other instead of on a figurehead. Whether it's a Congress member, a senator, a president, none of these people are going to save you. Stop. The progressive movement is so guilty of this. They're so guilty of deifying political leaders to an overly exceptional point where they're no longer human and they're gods, and you're just relying on them to do everything for you. It's not how it happens. Could they? Could somebody like the Squad go and say, I demand Medicare for all and we're going to meet here and we're going to do that? Yes. Are they going to do that? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. And I think it's a waste of time to ask them to do that because they're not going to do it. I think it is more important right now to start figuring out how you can push them to do that. And it's not just by making phone calls. It's going to require organizing people at the local ground level, a domino effect that takes control of the whole country with evictions, small business closings, families losing everything, etc., etc. That's what needs to happen. It will never come from the top. It's never going to come from these people in power. Not election integrity. It's not. As much as I'm following the story, I'm telling you, I don't for one second believe that some of these people want the truth out, because it would inculpate both sides of the spectrum. It's not going to come from them. It's not going to come. Election integrity is not going to come from there. Medicare for all isn't going to come from them. The end of fascism isn't going to come from them. It's going to come from you. And the only people in our own way are ourselves. So get the fuck out of your own way. I did this 6 for 6 challenge for an organization sponsored by the Shower of Hope, and they're trying to raise money for women who are unhoused to make sure that they house them, provide counseling and all of that. Those are the sort of things that change things when you do things locally, but it has a global impact. Those are the things that can happen. Putting all your faith in electoral politics saving you without doing the work to make it a fair system is going backwards. So I don't want to fucking hear X person 2024 for the rest of the freaking time. I just do not want to hear it at all. Like, I believe it is the most moronic, stupid thing to be doing right now. It is you sitting on your ass and waiting for somebody to save you. That's what you're doing. And you gotta stop that. You gotta stop that. Take action. Take proactive action, not reactive actions, and do something. Not just for yourself, but for everybody else. And understand, like, you have support. We, like, the anti-establishment community, especially, I know on the left, a lot of people, independents, if you talk to each other, you can get so much done. The problem is there's so much ego in these organizations. Oh no, it's got to be my way. It's got to be my brand, my name, my this, my that. Ego is like the number one poison to humanity. Like, it really, really is. And just, work together. Like, when it comes to free speech, when it comes to all of that, I know who to go to. I know it's the Action for Assange folks. I know that they're doing the work to raise awareness about Julian Assange. Do I think Trump's going to pardon him? No. Do I think at least them saying it and making him look like an idiot when he doesn't is a good thing? Yeah. And same with Biden. Do I think Biden's going to do anything? No. But these are the things that we have to do. They're going and protesting physically, right? And there's not that many of them. When you want something, you have to fight for it with your body. At this point, in a society like this, in late stage capitalism, as the empire is falling apart, as we are Rome, and we're falling, you cannot just expect to vote or circle in a bubble or donate $20 to your favorite congressperson and wait till they run for president. I'm sorry if that's all you're going to do, and if you're going to stay silent on the rampant lack of election integrity in this fucking country, then you're part of the problem. And then yes, you deserve what you get. But if people are telling you, and if you open your eyes and stop watching mainstream media and be very selective about the independent media you watch, people discussing issues that are outside of the corporate media, right? That aren't just playing a clip from the corporate media and then saying, oh yes, Trump bad. Oh, Biden's bad too. Yay, let's get progressives in. That be cognizant of what you are allowing and to shape the way you fucking think. Because that mainstream media, I swear to God, they are such poison. I can't tell you how poisonous they are to our society. It broke my heart when I saw so many freaking millennials on Instagram post the bullshit about Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. The same fucking generation that got screwed by Barack Obama, pretending that never fucking happened. Are you serious? Like that, I was like, you guys are like, wow. Like, where have you been? Where have you been? And it really just resonated though when people that I know that are my friends that are like, you know, they're not political, but how wrong they are, how out of touch they are. And that's by design. It is by fucking design. How do you fight a monster like that? How do you begin to attack such a vile, disgusting, and omnipresent evil? And it's not by dividing and compartmentalizing yourselves into small little snippets. It is actually by understanding you have far more in common with people trying to like get rid of the system. And if you talk to people and the more people are hurting, the more they're going to listen. That's how you get it done. It's not through the ballot box. It's not by sitting on your ass and waiting for AOC to run in 2024 or 2022 or 2032 or however it is I saw on my fucking feed. It's the stupidity that I've seen. That's not going to save you. It's not going to save anyone you care about. What's going to save you is acting on it. Acting on it. And all of us have a role in this movement. Call it whatever you want. You know, some of us are journalists. Some of us, you know, are whatever. We have YouTube shows. Some of us are organizers. Some of us can do that. Some of us are simply good to help and support financially. Do whatever it is you can do, but know all of this. You don't have to, you know, say what I say. Just know it. Know it. You know. Like, you know something's up, right? You know. It's so frustrating. Because, you know, I don't mean to be arrogant or angry. But if you're not fucking angry, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. We are so fucked in every way fucking possible. But I will not tell you to give up. Because there's always a reason for what's happening. And there's always a hope for when you hit rock bottom. And America has hit rock bottom tenfold. We might even hit deeper. But when you hit rock bottom, you're going to have to pull yourself up. And I'm not somebody that gives up. And you shouldn't be either. And as awful as everything is right now, the good thing that I find in society is that more and more people are realizing it. Maybe the hard way. Maybe they're doing it the hard way, but they're fucking realizing it. And I just know that there's so much suffering happening. And I feel that. And I feel that suffering. And I may seem stoic and composed most of the time. But that's because I feel so much. So deeply. And it's something that I can't get away from. From just seeing all the awfulness that's happening and all these things that are happening and all the people that I care about so frustrated and so scared. And I know that most people want to fix it. And I know most people are trying to fix it. They just have different tactics. But I'm just so sick and tired of seeing people get screwed and duped with the same fucking tactics over and over and over and over again. And everything is coming. Everything is coming right now. And it's not going to change with the Joe Biden administration. It is going to get worse. And people are going back to brunch as we speak. They are simply sheep, and they are falling right in line to whatever they're told. And the voices of dissent are being silenced. They're being forced to change into an independent medium, into other ways of communicating, right? So protect your protect and support independent media. Protect and support people who are dissenting right now. Because in history, the vast majority of people don't realize who these voices are until way later. And I think that's going to happen this time. I think it's going to take a long time, and I'm sorry for getting emotional, but it's probably cuz I've been sick. But it's frustrating to see people playing the same games over and over again, falling for the same games over and over again. And I don't want to see that anymore. And I'm going to continue being angry, and I'm going to continue being angry and hopeful, and speaking truth to power, and doing all the things that I need to do to continue doing what I need to do, covering what I need to cover. But it's difficult, especially with us, because the vast majority of the left is completely wrong when it comes to election integrity. And we get so much crap for it. And that doesn't really bother me as much. It's annoying, but what bothers me more is when I see people stop questioning. That's probably what bothers me the most. When I see people who I thought were really gonna fight back off. When I see people really being disingenuous and dishonest, literally just lying to themselves. That's what irritates me the most. Like, I would take any sort of insult over seeing that over and over again. And it's frustrating because I can see it happening. I can see all of this coming and just we're circling the drain. And the only way to fight the system is, as I said, to rely on each other and oppose it, not to be divided. And that doesn't mean you don't stand up for your principles. It doesn't mean you don't stand up for your moral desires. It just simply means you become a bigger person, and you say, I don't have to agree with you on everything, but we're gonna fucking fight to get Medicare for all. We're going to fight to get election integrity. We're going to fight to get people the money they need to survive this fucking pandemic. That's or to survive the government shutting everything down again. That's everything is so manipulated. You have to see through all of it. And some of us can see through things in a way that others can't. And it's unfortunate. It's not necessarily a good thing all the time. It's a lot of fucking annoying crap that I have to deal with half the time. But you know, that's why we didn't stream today, and I just wanted to talk about that, because it's like, wow, like I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And yet again, I can. And I've just been rambling for way too long. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. I just appreciate the super chat. When I don't have Pasta here to read the super chats, it's not as exciting, but let me see. Thank you, Randall. Ooh, how do you say this name? Olaf's Bub, for the super chat contribution. Let's see. And if you guys, you know what, could really do me a favor and like the stream, because we have over 400 people watching, but we have 290 likes. It helps the stupid algorithm. Now, Rokfin, which I'm also on. Hello to my Rokfinners. I know that they have tipping now, which is really cool. So if you are a content creator, go to Rokfin, because now they have like their own version of super chats, which is really, really cool. And I highly, highly recommend, because they don't censor you. You can talk about anything you want. You can talk about COVID. You can talk about elections. You can talk about Nira Tandon in a clown nose. You can talk about all these things. So yeah, go on Rokfin and check out the Convo Couch on Rokfin. Sponsor us or sponsor somebody else, and then you can watch us. But yeah, guys, you know, you guys are, you know, the people who watch this show, like who watch, whether it's this show or any other show, right? You guys are doing so much already by sharing, by paying attention, by getting involved, etc. And that's something that's so needed right now, especially in this time when people are so people are hurting, and they're going to continue to hurt. Like, and you know, I don't want people to be worried about me. I'm not I'm not at all like depressed or anything in any way, shape, or form. But I am sad for Americans and for the world, for the fucking world, because we're gonna screw a lot of people with this new foreign policy we have. And I just don't want to see people continuing to fall for these same trickery. And that's that. And, you know, I just want to leave on a good note. I just want to, not necessarily, well, a good note, but also like a real note. Like, fuck the establishment of, you know, fuck the corporations, fuck the military industrial complex, the CIA, Nira Tandon, all these people, all these corporate hacks, all these people that you thought were not hacks, but turns out they are, that they want a nice check and a nice position in the Biden administration. Yep. I mean, if you thought that Democrats were going to help you during this coronavirus and they were going to give you a stimulus, nope. That's what they did, is instead they're protecting corporations from COVID lawsuits, you guys. They're protecting corporations from COVID lawsuits. That is what your government is doing. Because people are going to get fired, they're going to lose their jobs, they're going to lose their homes, they're going to lose all of this. And these corporations are going to come out on top, and you're going to be subservient to them. And I can't think of anything more fascistic than using a pandemic to transfer wealth from the working class to the 1%, to corporations, for small businesses, to corporations, to make you reliant on these corporate tech giants, on these giant corporations. I can't think of anything fucking worse than that. Anything more fascistic than that. And meanwhile, as they do that to you, censor the hell out of everybody that tells the truth, extradite, likely extradite, we'll see on January 4th, if Julian Assange gets extradited, extradite the guy who exposed U.S. war crimes and exposed our government, and then simultaneously attack, murder, bomb, drone everybody around the world who dares stand up to us. So don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. And that's all I gotta say. And also, by the way, too, shout out to the Action for Assange, who was raising money to go to DC for the Julian Assange extradition hearing. They need some help, so I can't put their link up, but just go to Action for Assange. Maybe somebody in the chat could put it up for me. And yes, that would be great to have people there covering that. I mean, this is if they convict and extradite Julian Assange, it's a done deal for a lot of the journalists. This is why journalists specifically should be real journalists, not propagandists paid $30 million per episode, should be speaking out for Julian Assange, and that's not happening. So we need more of that. So folks, don't fall for it. Stop the suppositions. Stop it, please. Like, you're literally, like, my blood pressure goes up every time I see some stupid, like, post like, oh, let's have so and so save us 2024, yay, when, guys, fucking admit that we don't have fair and free elections here. Once you admit to that, I don't care, fine. That if you're gonna work to get somebody that you want elected, fine, let whoever wants to run, but first fucking work to get fair and free elections, period. Otherwise, we're never gonna have what we want through the electorate. And outside the electorate, remember, there's so much to be done in terms of a yellow vest type of movement. And don't just put it on your fucking Twitter if you're not going to be about it and if you're going to preach AOC 2032. Like, no, it's not enough to put a yellow vest on your fucking Twitter page if you're not actually going to talk about how to organize that. French people have told me, like, I don't understand why Americans don't do that. Like, why are they so reliant on politicians? I'm like, because this is the way we've been conditioned. And I understand, but snap out of it, because we don't have a lot of time, and I'm gonna be the one fighting forever, whether I live in this country or not. But I I'm a fighter. I'm not somebody that's gonna give up. But I do see people getting screwed by the system. So it really is disgusting. And every single person should be really upset and angry and just understand that nothing we want will come from voting. And it won't come from asking nicely. Take that fucking power back. Take it. That's what you have to do. And if you want to talk more about how to do that, I'm all ears. But it's gotta be also outside the electorate. You can't just rely on the electorate, guys. And I know I'm repeating myself, and the reason I am is because I don't think it's gotten through all the people that it needs to get through. So, yeah. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. Check out our Patreon. Check out our Rokfin. Check out our stuff, our Twitter, our Facebook. Thank you, Dear Fed or Dare Fed. See, no wonder Pasta has trouble with these. Okay, I'm gonna cut him some slack because some of you guys pick like the craziest YouTube names. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Dear Fed. You guys are awesome. If I miss super chats, I am so sorry that I miss them because I am technologically challenged and I am tired. So yeah. So all right guys, thanks so much for watching. See you later. See you soon. Convo out.